So I was listening to Today's Experience. Which, he has on guest Adam Curry, who is they call him the Podfather. He was the very first podcaster, the first person to really do a podcast. And I think he might have coined the phrase podcast. But anyway, everyone seems to hate Joe Rogan's new JRE studio and the video version of the podcast. Now, I'm a little confused, honestly, because I thought that starting in September, it was going to be exclusively on Spotify, so that the video would stream only on Spotify and the podcast would only be on Spotify. I don't understand how, maybe this doesn't take effect till later. Maybe that's what's going on. Because I thought it would be completely exclusive. Why else would you pay a guy so much to come to your platform unless it was 100% exclusive and everyone who watched or listened to it had to go to Spotify? It makes no sense. Anyway, so I'm a little confused about that. I have been since the beginning of September. And I was wondering when they were going to get into the new studio, when the episodes from the new studio were going to start airing. Because he no longer does the show live, which is kind of a bummer, but I get it. A lot of things can go wrong when you do a show live. But so he moved to Texas, I think, probably a couple weeks ago, but there were still some episodes pre-recorded at the old studio that still had to be uploaded. So that's what we've been seeing up until today. And if you haven't seen Joe Rogan's studio, just Google it. The new studio is wildly different than the old studio. And fans have always loved the old studio. We love the knickknacks. We love the stuff on the desks there, the stuff in the background, the stuff on the walls. And this just seems like, it just seems weird. But what I wanted to share here is not so much my reaction, which is, it's a little weird. I mean, maybe it's just because it's something new, but a lot of things seem different already. The way it's recorded, the frame rate is way more frames per second. So it seems really weird. It almost looks like they have a green screen behind them. That's how ultra realistic it looks. It looks like too real. It really does. It looks like a green screen. It doesn't look like a real studio. Although it is, because I've seen pictures of the actual studio. So it's really strange. Really strange. And maybe he's going to keep all his decorations in the other rooms outside of the actual podcast studio. Because, Joe Rogan's podcast studio is not just a studio. It's like a building with separate rooms and a gym and a sauna and, all the things he always talks about having. The sensory deprivation tank, all that stuff. It's not just that studio that you see. So maybe all his cool decorations are going to be somewhere else. I don't know. But anyway, I wanted to dig into, because this is crazy. The people's reaction to this is insane. I just wanted to go through some of the YouTube comments. First, like I said, I was confused that it's still on YouTube. I thought he was going to be exclusively on Spotify. Maybe that doesn't start till later in the year, so maybe I misunderstood that. But, okay. Check this out. I'm just going to go through some of these comments. If you ever want a good laugh or to see some insanity, go to the comments of the JRE on YouTube. Okay. So this guy says, it's great that Spotify gave Joe $100 million, and their only stipulation was that he had to podcast inside a gay spaceship. It doesn't look real. It's weird. Okay, so someone else says, it looks like they're inside of a toaster. Next comment. These are all the most liked top comments. Is it uploaded in a different frame rate now? It looks like a telenovela. Yeah, it does. It looks like a soap opera. It's really strange. Let's see. It says, I guess he can't blaze up the Chronic in this tin hut. Shame. This looks like a green screen / Zoom background. Does not look good at all. Someone else said, Joe, you're acting. Stick to podcasting. I thought everything was bigger in Texas. The studio is a can of sardines. Someone else said, when corporate America takes a highly successful product and the experts ruin it. Next, we have, I love JRE, but after this sets in and the fans calm down, someone at Spotify is going to get fired. Faux show. Joe, bring the original chill man cave studio back. The lighting and camera exposure needs work, and the studio is way too small. You can do it, bro. Hope it don't take that long for you to adjust. Next person said, the old studio looked way more Texas than this. Yeah, I agree. This doesn't look like Texas at all, although it is Austin, which is very different than the rest of Texas. How many times did he try to deflect Adam's stories to take him away from his point, either with humor or just misdirections? So yeah, Joe was he was acting a little different here. It was really kind of like off. I don't know. It's probably just adjusting. It's probably just adjusting to this new format, new atmosphere. But like I said, the background and the frame rate is really, really distracting if you watch video. Luckily for me, I mostly listen to this podcast. I don't actually watch the videos that much anymore. I discovered it on YouTube originally back in like 2014, I think. But since then, I have gone over to just straight podcast listening for the most part, because I listen while driving and running and stuff like that. So, somebody else says, 42 minutes in, and I've heard Joe change the subject like 6 times on actually some of the most interesting topics I wanted to hear. What the fuck? Someone else said, I'm genuinely sad not seeing the old studio / set anymore. It makes me feel old, like I grew up with Joe Rogan, and now I'm left with thinking of the good times we had. Somebody else says, turn down that frame rate. This ain't no soap opera. 24 FPS or nothing. Joe, you got to change this. I like the background of the studio, but this camera view sucks. So that's another thing. If you watch it, it's not that same old side view camera. It is like this back and forth head-on look of each person that's talking, and it's actually kind of like I said, maybe it's just something we'll get used to, but it's like the person that's talking, it's a straight-on view of them. It's a headshot of them. So they're like talking directly to the camera. It's just different, man. It's different. Someone else says, looks like Joe has already been replaced with a deep fake. This entity clearly doesn't want Adam to talk about certain topics. Is it just me, or Rogan seems like a different person? So yeah, that's people's reaction to this is it's wild. It's wild. Everyone seemed to have really positive reactions and were really happy for Joe. So I don't think it's hate. I think these are genuine fans that are like, this is not what we like about, JRE. So I don't know. Hopefully Joe gets used to the new atmosphere, gets used to the new way of doing things. Or maybe he'll just switch back to a regular ass studio. Maybe he'll say, you know what, I don't need all this shit. But it's definitely different. It feels very different. Like I said, you could tell a little bit, like I was just listening to the audio, he did seem a little different. And then when I went to the video, I'm like, because I was like, oh, I want to see what the new podcast looks like, live with them in there talking. And once I realized they were in the new studio now, I'm like, I got to go check out the video version. And when I did, I'm like, whoa. And then when I read the comments, I'm like, I agree with most of what these commenters are saying, which is strange for me. I usually am not on board with a lot of the things that people comment on Rogan underneath in the comment section, because it's wild in there. It's wild. But for sure, seem very different. Everyone seems to think so. And like I said, not just the video version, but just the way Joe is interviewing and acting and interacting on the podcast. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's a little weird. Anyway, I'd love to hear what you think. If you're watching this on YouTube, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, if you're listening to this in podcast form on the Brett Scott Daily podcast, which, by the way, if you want to listen to audio format, any of my videos in audio format, just head over to Brett Scott Daily. On any podcast app that you use, just search Brett Scott Daily, and you'll find me there. I try to post a video every day. But anyway, if you're on the podcast and you want to comment on this, just shoot me an email at brettscottvlogs@gmail.com, or yeah, that'll work. Or you can hit me up on Instagram at RealBrettScott and just let me know what you think of the new Joe Rogan experience. If you enjoyed this video or podcast, however you're listening or watching, this is kind of what I do. I pick a new random topic each day to talk about, usually entertainment, news, or pop culture, but sometimes different stuff. If you're into that sort of thing, subscribe for more, because that's what I do here. Follow the podcast. And if you do decide to follow, if you do decide to subscribe, then I will talk at you again tomorrow. Thanks for listening.